All right, what's up, YouTube? My immediate reaction to the Billy Joe Saunders David Lemieux fight. And wow, okay, look, if you guys checked out my prediction video, I got it right. I got it dead on right. You know, I predicted, and I even had a dream. I put out a video, I had a dream that Billy Joe Saunders would basically dominate, and the fight would reveal itself at the end. You would see him take over and ultimately win a decision, and it was crazy. Like, I had a dream this would happen, and it played out just like I thought it would. But just my immediate reaction. The undercard, look, I have to point this out because I think it's incredibly important. Okay, HBO Jim Lampley, I couldn't believe the just, oh God, the absolute disrespect by their commentating. Okay, it was the Selden and I have a hard time with his name, Usley, whatever, that guy and Selden. Okay, the way they were talking about Selden, they were just constantly just really belittling him, degrading him. They were very just derogatory, just insult after insult, cracking jokes about him, just literally making fun of him like schoolyard bullies, okay? And I mean, it was making me so mad when I was watching it. Like, I mean, I was seriously like, I wanted to just get on a plane and fly there and just slap him in his face, I mean, here's the thing with Jim Lampley, okay? At one time I liked him, and even Max Kellerman I liked him, and even Roy Jones. I think Roy Jones has completely sold out, but typically Roy Jones will kind of, when they start to go a little bit too far, Roy Jones will dial it back a little bit. He'll be like, yeah, but look, it takes a lot of courage to get in the ring and do what these guys do. And Jim Lampley is like, oh, well, if he'd land a punch, that'd be great, and it was just one insult after another. I'm not even going to repeat the things he said because they don't need to be repeated, but you guys will check it out. Tell me what you think. It was awful. I mean, the worst commentating I've ever heard by anyone, hands down. And it's not even that it was biased. They were being hateful, rude, mean. And here's the thing: has Jim Lampley ever laced up a boxing glove in his life? I mean, he sits there in his little $2,000 suit, screaming, "Oh, hard right hand," all bullshit, that we're all tired of hearing, right? I mean, has he ever stepped foot in a boxing ring, to be able to just sit there and degrade these guys like he does? So, but enough of that. Sorry for the rant, but it really, really pissed me off. I mean, it was disgusting to hear. Okay. The O'Sullivan Douglas, now that was a good fight. Douglas, like Roy Jones was pointing out, he made a lot of fundamental mistakes and he paid for it, okay? I mean, I'll leave it at that. But let's get to Billy Joe Saunders, David Lemieux. I mean, okay, my first thought is like, wow, well, what happened to David Lemieux? What happened? I mean, I get it. He relies on that right hand. He's a big puncher, and what he lacks in boxing ability, he makes up in power, right? What he lacks in boxing ability, he makes up in power. And it was like Roy Jones was saying, he's not boxing, he's fighting. There's a difference. He needs to box and not fight. And he was just making, look, both Douglas and in the co-main event, Douglas and Lemieux just made a ton of mistakes. Now, you do have to give a lot of credit. I'm giving a lot of credit to Billy Joe Saunders. I think this is probably one of the best performances he's had, hands down. Okay, and yeah, he's a cocky asshole, and it's hard to watch and listen to the dude. That he's just so arrogant. But from a boxing point of view, I'm going to give him credit because you give credit where credit is due, and he put on a beautiful display of boxing. The footwork, the movement, working that jab, the combos, the confidence. I mean, even kind of getting in there and clowning a little bit, just kind of messing with David Lemieux, just picking on him. Basically, you could hear him like talking shit in the ring, because I had it on HD. I had my sound bar on. And by the way, we went live in the group. So, you guys, if you ever want to watch the fight, we typically show them live in the group. So, you can come over and check it out. But yeah, like I said, I was impressed. I think he dominated the fight, and David Lemieux, I think he's done. Now you got to remember, before the fight, David Lemieux, he turned the Billy Joe Saunders fight down like 5-6 months ago. He said, "I don't want it." He said, at this point in my career, his doctor told him his hands are like the hands of a 70-year-old man, and he's like, "I don't want career-defining, war type fights." He's like, I just can't do it anymore. So, I couldn't believe so many people pick David Lemieux to win, because I'm like, well, I mean, there's like red flag after red flag. We know he has a hard time making weight. And even this time he had to weigh in twice. He looked like a little skeleton. He's complaining about his hands, and also the size. I mean, look at the size, Billy Joe Saunders, he had a pretty good size on him. Now I don't understand the hype. I believe they're both like 5'9". How is Billy Joe Saunders 5'9", and he's obviously taller than him? So there's a lot of things with box rec and the tell of the tape stats, whatever, that I don't understand, because he's not 5'9". There's no way, or David or somebody's lying about their height. Now their reach. I believe they have like identical reach, maybe a half-inch difference or whatever, but you wouldn't know it because, like I said, the way Billy Joe Saunders was boxing, his stance, if you notice, he had his lead foot where it should be, he was on his back foot when he needed to be, he was fighting tall, good combos, turn. I mean, he looked like a, I don't know. I mean, he had flashes of like a Manny Pacquiao in there. He looked great. And it's hard to say that because I do not like Billy Joe Saunders whatsoever, so it's difficult for me to even to say these things, but I was impressed, and it was a fun fight to watch. It was a good, it was a, I mean, it was, I'll say it was a fan-friendly fight because, they're in Canada in Lemieux's backyard, and the crowd is all but just basically silent. I think they were as stunned as David Lemieux. Now, but my question is Billy Joe Saunders, when he's on his A game, right? When he's on the ball, is he really that good, or is it just the decline of David Lemieux? It's that classic question that we all have, right? Anytime this kind of thing happens, like, oh, wait a minute, is it the opposition, or is he just that damn good? We don't know, because you look at, the past fights that Billy Joe Saunders has, and they're not very, impressive. Of course, Andy Lee, okay. We know the resume, but, I was impressed. I thought he did a good job. And now the question is, where do we go from here? And of course, Billy Joe Saunders calling out Gennady Golovkin. And he made a comment in the post interview. He said, yeah, he wanted to fight me when I was, overweight and out of shape and kind of on the decline. But then you could also say, well, wait a minute. Anytime Gennady Golovkin signs a fight, Billy Joe Saunders is barking all in the media that he wants to fight Gennady Golovkin. But right now, really, I think this is the first time that Billy Joe Saunders has actually called out Gennady Golovkin when it's a real possibility. Okay, it's a real possibility it could go down. Now, when? I don't know. It all depends on Canelo. Right now, Canelo holds the keys to the middleweight division. It's like everything is riding on Canelo, the guy that has no belts. Okay, now imagine this. Okay, Canelo has no belts, right? You got Gennady Golovkin holding 3 of the major 4, and then Billy Joe Saunders holding the WBO. But somehow everyone is waiting on Canelo. Maybe it's money. I guess it's money. I don't know. But anyway, I don't want to make it too long. Like I said, it was a good fight. And from what I saw, I'll go ahead and say it. From what I saw, I truly think, well, let me include one more thing. Let me finish that thought. I think Billy Joe Saunders would give Gennady Golovkin a few problems. I still favor Triple G in that fight. But, and here's the one thing. David Lemieux didn't land, I don't think, really one good, clean shot. Okay, so again, you have to credit that to Billy Joe Saunders. So would the same thing happen in a Gennady Golovkin fight? And he wasn't really running, okay? He wasn't necessarily running. He was boxing. He was using the ring like it should be. He wasn't afraid to trade, okay? He wasn't afraid to get in the pocket and bang it out, the phone booth, whatever. You know what I mean? So you can't really say, oh, he's running. Of course, he's going to win a decision. He just ran around all night like Irizlandi Lara. No. It wasn't that Cuban-style running. Like I said, he stood his ground, and, when it was time to trade, he did, and he wasn't afraid. It wasn't like he was running because he was afraid. He was just picking his spots, right? Setting up traps, turning David Lemieux, pivoting, that kind of thing. So just in my mind, a beautiful display of boxing. So I don't know, guys. What do you think?